Krishna. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. And we have a full temple room. We knew it was going to be a full temple room, more than normal, because everyone is so excited that His Holiness Keshav Swami is here with us today. Please give a big round of applause. Let's ask him to say 3 Haribol to welcome him. Thank you so much. Yeah, so everyone is so excited to hear from him. He also did a program here a few weeks ago for our Friday Bhakti Life program, which was just amazing. And I think most people know him, but just to briefly introduce him, he is an author, a community mentor, a dynamic teacher, worldwide traveler. In 2002, after he had graduated from the University College of London with a BCS in Information Management, he moved in and adopted the full-time monastic life to deepen his spirituality and be able to share these teachings with the wider society. And for over 20 years, he was actually a resident monk at the ISKCON UK's Bhaktivedanta Manor, where he pioneered the School of Bhakti, which if you don't know about the School of Bhakti, go to schoolofbhakti.com. It's an amazing initiative that is reaching so many people both in the UK and also worldwide through online platforms. And he also led the monastic training program and drove forward national outreach projects. In that regard, he has designed numerous courses ranging from Vedic theology to lifestyle management to spiritual self-development, and he's also authored 10 books, which we have some of these books available today. And if you would like to purchase these books, you can see where is Gopinath? Yes, back there, he's raising his hand. You can see Gopinath after the program if you're interested in purchasing some of these incredible books. And just actually, not so long ago, in 2022, Maharaj, he accepted the vows of sannyas. And since then, he is teaching in universities, traveling around the world, corporate firms and government organizations. He's teaching there and just really reaching so many people. And I highly recommend that you listen to him regularly. His classes are on YouTube and many other platforms, and they just, every time I personally listen to them, I feel completely transformed. So thank you so much, Maharaj, for being here, and please address us all. Hare Krishna.
So Hare Krishna everyone, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with all of you and to see so many amazing, sincere, advanced, spiritually deep devotees. Many of you are my inspirations. And it's, I'll try to share something with you and hope that between us we can have a beautiful exchange of Krishna Katha this morning. Our subject is very, very beautiful. It's also very, very deep. Our cherished destination is Sri Vrindavan Dham. One of Srila Prabhupada's godbrothers, he beautifully explained Sri Vrindavan Dham. He says, Vrindavan is a spiritual world that most people have never conceived of. In Sri Vrindavan Dham, God seeks His devotees as much as they seek Him. God loves his devotees as much as they love him. And God needs his devotees as much as they need him. He said in Sri Vrindavan, God is more human than superhuman. And he's more natural than supernatural. And in this way he begins to paint a picture of the spiritual, transcendent reality, the playground of God, the natural setting where the deepest type of loving exchanges take place, that perhaps we take for granted because we heard about it from day one, but it's actually the innermost chambers of the most confidential place of divine play. And so as we orientate ourselves to try and make that journey to Vrindavan, today we'll stop off at Kurukshetra just to see what may lie there. But before we begin, we'll just remember Vrindavan as our cherished destination. Kunja Bihari Yanjana Shalakaya Chakshuramitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Krishna Sakitam Yena Gurave Swayam Radhi Swaram Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Shri Guru Krishna Shri Bhagavat Sadhyatam Sadhanatam Samsadhivam Sadhayam Sadhutam Vidanasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Every scripture is having a Paribhasa Sutra, an emperor verse which is revealing what is the goal of that literature. And so when we come to the Srimad Bhagavatam, then Jiva Goswami outlines what is the Paribhasa Sutra. And he explains, Ete Chamsha Kalapum Sha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He says that the Bhagavatam and every single verse, every single word, every single syllable of the Bhagavatam follows this verse, aiming to establish that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What the Goswamis then go on to do, the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is they on to mine who is the Supreme Personality of Krishna. And therefore they then go on to establish Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. Yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that person, Krishna, functions and acts and enacts his divine play in many different places. But Vrindavan is his home, the playground, the place where he is most natural, and the place where he reveals the most intimate aspects of his heart and his mind. And so in this way, the Goswami is revealed to us. Sometimes it's said that only the followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can reveal to you the essence of the Bhagavatam. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was advising someone in the Antya Leela, then he told him, Jaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavera stane, ekanta ashraya kore, chaitanya charane. If you want to understand Bhagavatam, then you have to sit at the feet of a Bhagavata, someone who is living that Bhagavatam, and hear. But he says that person who you hear from should be a Chaitanya Bhakta. Because only Chaitanya Bhaktas can reveal to you the essence of the Bhagavatam. Because even Krishna didn't know the essence of the Bhagavatam. Because when Krishna one day was in the Dwarka, then he came to Rukmini's palace. And as Rukmini received him, they were very, very happy. They were having loving talks, and all of a sudden Rukmini began crying. And Krishna said, what happened? Everything was going fine. So Krishna said, what's the problem? She said, you will not understand. Krishna said, no, I understand everything. Vedaham, Samaditani, Vardhamani, Charjana, Bhavishyani. I know everyone. I know past, present, future, and everything. She said, you don't know. Krishna says, what don't I know? So she said, you are here now, and we are having such loving interactions, but at one point you will leave. And when you leave, do you know what that makes us feel like? Krishna said, oh, maybe something. I don't know. And therefore, in that moment, as Krishna walked away from Rukmini's palace, then he realized, I have to assume a form in which I find out. So therefore, E Mata Bhakta Bhav Kuryam God. Krishna then takes the Bhakta Bhav, Radha Bhava, Yuti, Suvalitam, Krishna Nomi, Swarupam. He takes the Radha Bhav to understand these things. Therefore, Krishna didn't know Radharani's love, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experienced Radharani's love. Therefore, the Chaitanya Bhaktas can reveal to you what the Krishna Bhaktas can't. And therefore, Ekanta Ashraya Kala Chaitanya Charane. In this way, we're very, very fortunate because in the Gaudiya tradition, Vrindavan and its glories have been revealed. And specifically the deepest glory, which is Srimati Radharani's love. Sometimes they say the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam is Krishna's face, smiling face. Some commentators say the 10th canto is Krishna's heart. And if the 10th canto is Krishna's heart, then the 5 chapters in which Krishna dances with the gopis, the Rasa Panchadhyaya, are the 5 life airs of Krishna. This is the very heart and soul, the heartbeat of Krishna. So this is the spiritual world that Srila Prabhupada revealed to the whole world. Yesterday we were in the car and we were talking about how Vrindavan has become very busy now. There's no time of the year you can go to Vrindavan and it's not busy. And of course, some of us complain about that. But actually it's the glory of Srila Prabhupada that he revealed to the whole world what is Vrindavan and why Vrindavan is so special. And so this spiritual world has been revealed to us, and therefore our life now is meant to make that journey, just in a transit lounge, just here for some time, just picking up some lessons, trying to purify the consciousness and awaken the longing, and then after this life, yes, maybe back to Vrindavan. That is our goal. Today, I want to share with you that perhaps on our journey to Vrindavan, we may do well to stop at Kurukshetra. Has anyone gone to Vrindavan and stopped at Kurukshetra just before? Anyone? Oh, one person has. Congratulations. Yes, we might want to stop at Kurukshetra because Kurukshetra may reveal and empower us with many things which may help us to actually enter into Vrindavan, and that's what I'll try to share with you today. Before I begin, it's important to know that when looking at our Shastra, there are different levels on which we can look at the Shastra. on one level we can see that the Shastra are literal events. They are things that happen. So when we look at Kurukshetra, we know it's a literal place. You can go there today. There is even the tree under which the Gita was spoken. The place where Bhishma Dev stood or sat or lied down on the bed of arrows. So Shastra is literal. There's literal events, literal people, literal interactions, literal places. But then we also understand that Shastra is didactical. It's not just events, but Shastra, and through the way we see the events that happen, many lessons are being lent to us as to how to navigate our life and how to purify our consciousness. But then, it's also said that Shastra can be metaphorically understood. The reason I'm raising this is because oftentimes Srila Prabhupada would criticize people who would metaphorically interpret Shastra. For example, Srila Prabhupada would say, and one rascal commentator says that the 5 Pandavas represent the 5 senses, and the Kurukshetra represents the body, and Srila Prabhupada would speak sometimes very strongly out against such personalities. However, Srila Prabhupada himself talks about Kurukshetra metaphorically. If you read in Srila Prabhupada's books, he says Kurukshetra is a battlefield which represents the battlefield of life. So, Shastra can be understood metaphorically, not to replace the literal and didactical meaning, but rather to nourish and inspire us to grasp the didactical and literal perception of Shastra. And therefore we can see that Shastra and many aspects of it can be seen metaphorically, which helps to nourish our understanding of actually connecting with the person behind the Shastra. And so today, what I want to share with you is that Kurukshetra could metaphorically and has metaphorically been seen in 3 different dimensions. Kurukshetra, perhaps most obviously to us, is a Yuddha Kshetra. It's a place of war. It's a place of battle. It's the place where 640 million soldiers had assembled 5,000 years ago to engage in the greatest battle of all time. And therefore, one dimension of Kurukshetra is to see it as a battlefield. Another dimension of Kurukshetra is to see it as a place of religiosity. Dharma kshetre, Kurukshetre, samaveta yuyutsava. So therefore, it's a place of religiosity. It was always traditionally a place where religious sacrifices took place. There's a verse in the Tantra which says, Kurukshetra krite tirtham tretayam pushkaram smritam dvapare ne mishadanyam navakhandam kila kalo. That in Satya Yuga, Kurukshetra krite tirtham, Kurukshetra was considered the most important place of pilgrimage. Tretayam pushkaram smrite. In Treta Yuga, the main place of pilgrimage was Pushkar. Dvapare Naimisharanyam. In Dwapara Yuga, the main place of pilgrimage of Tirtha was Naimisharanyam. Therefore, all the sages had assembled in Naimisharanyam. And in Kali Yuga, which is the main place of pilgrimage, Navakhandam Tila Kalo Navadvip Mayapur Dham. All tirthas exist to ultimately serve to glorify Sri Vrindavan Dham. Because Sri Vrindavan Dham, like Krishna, is said to be the Bhagavan Swayam, the original personality of Godhead from whom all other incarnations come. Sri Vrindavan Dham is said to be the source of all holy places. And so There are many holy places in India, but all of them actually serve to illuminate the glory of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So therefore, Kurukshetra can also be seen as a Dharmakshetra. And the third dimension is that Kurukshetra can also be seen as a Virahakshetra. Because 50 years before Krishna came there to speak Bhagavad Gita, something else happened there which revealed something very, very deep. And therefore, when we see Kurukshetra in these three lights, when we understand that Kurukshetra is teaching us many, many things of what we need to embody before we can reach to Vrindavan. So the first dimension is that Kurukshetra is a Yuddha Kshetra, a place of battle. Arjuna had arrived at that place of battle and he didn't want to fight. Vepatuscha sharire me romaharshashtu jayate gandivam shramshate hastat tvakcheva paridayate. He says, my body is shivering, my hair is standing on end, the bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning. This is the same Arjuna who said, if anyone ever tells me to put my Gandiva bow down, I'll kill them. And Yudhishthira did tell him once, and anyway, that was an interesting interaction. But this is the same Arjuna that would never give up his Gandiva, it was slipping. And then what did Krishna say to Arjuna? Ledyama smagama partha nitatvaya upapatyate Kshudram hridaya dorbalyam tyaktvatishta parantapa. How has such petty weakness of heart overcome you? Arise, O chastiser of the enemy. So Krishna, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, is basically coaching Arjuna to become a spiritual warrior. Krishna is basically teaching Arjuna that you have to give up your petty weakness of heart. If I ask you, how does weakness of heart manifest in our lives? Can you give me any ideas? Fear. Fear of the future. Fear of what may happen. Fear of failure. We're overcome by insecurity and a lack of confidence. What else? Envy. Again, coming from insecurity, feeling others to be superior and therefore feeling oneself to be lesser, and therefore enviousness, jealousy, anxiety, worries, constant fear, again, of the future.
We give up devotional service when the material going gets tough.
Yeah, feeling overwhelmed, feeling unable to continue, not having the strength and focus of mind, losing discipline and determination. Attachments, yes. It's very, very interesting. Krishna has a really good sense of humor. When Arjuna said to Krishna, Senayor Vayor Madhye Ratham Stavayame Chuta. Arjuna said to Krishna, can you take my chariot in the middle of the battlefield? So Krishna was like, yeah, no problem. And Krishna drew up the chariot to the middle of the battlefield. And what did he do? He stopped. Bhishma Drona Pramukata. He stopped the chariot right in front of Bhishma and Drona, who perhaps were the two biggest attachments. Because Bhishma represents your attachment to your relationships of this world. And Drona, who was a teacher, represents attachment to your previous ideas and conceptions. Can you give up those attachments? Very, very difficult. Therefore, Krishna's funny. So in this way, Kurukshetra is a Yuddha Kshetra, is teaching us that until and unless we give up our weakness, unless we give up our weakness of heart, unless we become spiritual warriors, unless we fight against that which is constantly bringing us down, that which is constantly attacking us, we will never be able to develop the purity. For most people on the path of spirituality, weakness of heart is the first obstacle which devours them, because it manifests in very, very different ways. And therefore, sometimes I say we're fighting on 3 levels. You can say there's the level of the soul, there's the level of the Sangha, and there's the level of the society. And everyone has to become a spiritual warrior to fight the degradation that can occur in each of these battlefields. The degradation that occurs on the level of our own soul, our own self, is that there are anarthas, there are desires, there are upadhis, designations, there are offenses, there are attachments. And these things are constantly pulling us down. And therefore, the spiritual warrior always has to fight for purity on their own level, to be very introspective, to be very conscious, to be very, very aware of what's going on in their internal world. In the Sangha, there is always also the threat of the material energy. There is disunity. There is quarrel. There is breakdown of relationships. Sometimes power can take precedence, prestige, popularity. All of these things may take prominence and supersede the essence of what the Sangha is meant for. And therefore, every individual has to be a personality who comes and fights this impurity with the Sangha and helps to maintain what it can and should be. And on the level of the society, there is also constant degradation taking place. There's atheism, there's materialism. The politicians are trying to take God out of the picture, separate God and the state. The economists are trying to take God out of the picture. We'd be much more prosperous if there was no spirituality. In all ways, people are trying to take God out of the picture. And therefore, the individual is coming in as a spiritual warrior into society, fighting that degradation. So, in case you never thought your life was meant for fighting, there's a constant fight going on. Because the first dimension of Kurukshetra is that we are living in a battlefield which is full of degradation. And therefore, unless one gives up their petty weakness of heart, unless one develops confidence, focus, strength, determination, discipline, the ability to stay true to what you value deep within your heart, then one can never make that trip towards Vrindavan. It requires a lot of strength. If you think of spirit, if I say spiritual warrior, which personality do you think of in the Hare Krishna movement? Think of Bhakti Tirtha Swami, isn't it, naturally? And if you think about him as a personality, he was so deeply rooted in his identity as a spiritual warrior on all 3 of these levels. Because on an individual level, he was so deeply introspective. I mean, he was really searching deep within his heart. I remember once he wrote this Vyasa Puja offering, which was almost like shocking. He said, like, Srila Prabhupada, I'm just paraphrasing, I can't remember exactly. He said, Srila Prabhupada, I may come to you and say, I have opened many temples, but then you will ask me, but have you given up sex desire? Prabhupada, I will come to you and say, I traveled the world and gave many, many lectures, but then you will ask me, have you given up sex desire? I will say to you, Prabhupada, I took the vows of sannyas and I became a renunciate, giving up all attachments. And you will ask me, but have you given up sex desire? And it's just like this constant, like, very deeply introspective, searching the heart, trying to understand what impurity lies there. And in the Sangha, Bhakti Maharaj was also such a community builder, such a person who was coming to establish what is the essence of what a Sangha is meant for. And then Bhakti Maharaj out there in the world was such a spiritual warrior, presenting Krishna consciousness in incredible ways. In his biography, Satyaraj, who is here, he writes the name Bhakti Tirtha was very, very apt, because Tirtha means a bridge, and therefore he was making many, many bridges for people to connect in the world to spirituality. And so, we often think of spiritual life as very, very romantic, very, very emotional, full of feeling, bhav, and that's very, very true. But it must begin with a fearless spirit of being a spiritual warrior. And therefore, the first thing that Kurukshetra teaches us is the need to have that kind of strength in our spiritual life to fight the inevitable degradation that's in the world. The second dimension of Kurukshetra is it represents Dharma Kshetra, the place where we learn Dharma. In the Bhagavatam, there are many, many fights that go on, isn't it? What are some of your favorite fights in the Bhagavatam? Anyone? Vritrasura and Indra. Yeah, that's a classic one. Varaha and Hiranyaksha. Yeah, that was like, he just kind of slapped him at the end. That was like an interesting end to the whole thing. Very graceful. Any others? Shingadev and Hiranyakashipu, yes.
Krishna and Kaliya.
Krishna and Kaliya, yes. And one of the most famous fights in the Bhagavatam, or struggles, is the fight between Gajendra and the crocodile, isn't it? And there Srila Prabhupada writes that in our fight with the material energy, we have to understand one very, very important thing. That Gajendra was much stronger than the crocodile, but after hundreds and thousands of years of fighting, Gajendra became more and more weak. And why was that? Because Gajendra was in a foreign environment. Gajendra was not in its natural environment. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, one must place themselves in the appropriate dharma. Because when you place yourself in the appropriate dharma, then you can fight the material energy more vigorously. And therefore, Kurukshetra also represents the place where we can understand our dharma. Because what did Krishna do on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? Dharmyam samvadam avayo. He spoke a conversation in which he revealed how to actually embrace your dharma. Therefore, the whole of the Bhagavad Gita is actually meant to teach people dharma. One commentator says the very first syllable of the Bhagavad Gita is Dhritarashtra Uvacha. And the very final syllable of the Bhagavad Gita, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Matirma Ma. And therefore he says, the first and the last syllables form the word dharma, to explain to the world that this whole conversation is meant to encapsulate the totality of dharma. And Arjun's first question was, Dharma, Shamuda, Chaitaha, Yatri, Shreya Chan Nishtitam Bruhitam Me Shishaste Hamsati Mardam Prapanam. So Arjun basically has what he calls, Arjun basically has a dharma, shamuda, which literally means a dharma confusion. Because most people in the world basically have a dharma confusion. And because we have a dharma confusion, fighting the material energy becomes more and more difficult. And if we can't fight the material energy, where is the question of spiritual accomplishment? And therefore one must find their dharma. What is my dharma? That is also the very first question that most people struggle with. Because in a world where we're surrounded by so many voices, expectations, ideas, opinions, to find what really resonates within our heart is very, very difficult. Even when we found our dharma, we're constantly struggling with living our dharma. It's amazing that sometimes even when we know our dharma, the right way to live, the type of occupation, the type of lifestyle, the habitat, which will support me in my spiritual journey, we keep embracing the wrong dharma. We could do a whole interactive on why that is, but this is basically the dharma confusion. Another dharma confusion is how do I balance all my different dharmas? Because I have so many different duties to do in my life and they all seem to be colliding and sometimes impinging upon each other. So how do I actually fulfill and honor all of my dharmas? And then, how does dharma and bhakti relate? How do I connect my dharma to my bigger journey of awakening bhakti? Kurukshetra is dharma kshetra. Because of Kurukshetra, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. And if one understands this dharma samvadam of Bhagavad Gita, then one will be able to understand what is my dharma. One will be able to understand how I can generate the focus and determination to live my dharma. One can understand how to balance and integrate all their different dharmas, and then ultimately how to engage that dharma and dedicate it in such a way that it leads to the awakening of bhakti. Because the Bhagavatam says, Dharma svanustita pumsham vishvakshena kathashuya notpadaya yadiratim shrama eva hikevalam. If you do all your dharma perfectly, but it doesn't ultimately help you to awaken your bhakti, then it's basically Shrama Eva Hikevalam. Srila Prabhupada says, in those uncertain terms, it's a useless waste of time. So dharma is meant to support the awakening of bhakti. And perhaps in our movement, what happened over time, or in the beginning, is that dharma was neglected, understanding bhakti to be the transcendental objective. But later on we realized that we need dharma, we need foundation, we need this support structure. You can think of dharma like scaffolding. When you're trying to build a house, and you need scaffolding. But eventually when the cement has been set, that scaffolding can be dismantled since one has achieved their purpose. And so, the second teaching we get, the second dimension of Kurukshetra on our journey to Vrindavan, is that we have to understand how to live in this world and embrace our dharma. And then the amazing thing is, at the end of the Dharma Samvadam, Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. It's also interesting because Krishna then establishes that all of these dharmas, if they don't support your highest dharma, then they can be given up. So like that. So the second dimension of Kurukshetra is that we're seeing it's a place in which we're remembering to embrace dharma. Now the first two dimensions of Kurukshetra, what they're helping us to do is basically purify our hearts. By becoming a spiritual warrior and embracing our dharma, we're learning to purify our consciousness. However, that is not enough to enter into Vrindavan. And therefore Kurukshetra also gives us the final key which helps us to open the doors to Vrindavan. Because Kurukshetra teaches us that it's not just purification that will take you to Sri Vrindavan Dham, but ultimately it's desperation. Desperation is required. Otherwise, one cannot reach Vrindavan. One of the eminent teachers in our movement used to say, we're not opening temples, we're opening crying houses. Places where people can come to learn the art of how to cry for Krishna. So, there are different types of crying in this world. You can say on the lowest level, there is the cry of the samsarika. Someone who is stuck in the cycle of material illusion, crying for material things, crying for relationships, crying for lost opportunities, crying because India lost the World Cup. Whatever it may be, so many tears shed for the temporary things of this world. So they are crying, but then we say there are also sahajyas, they cry also. They have many tears to shed, but they are tears which are seeking attention, tears which don't really have any substance behind them, but are just meant to achieve some attention that they want. And then we say there's the cry of the sadhaka. Because Krishna said, Srila Prabhupada said, when you're chanting Hare Krishna, it should be like the cry of a child for the mother. And therefore we are also trying to cry as sadhakas. And then the amazing thing is that the siddhas, the ones in the spiritual world, are also crying for Krishna. And therefore we have to elevate the quality of our tears so that they become the tears of a sadhaka who's genuinely crying because they've had enough of the material world. They don't want anything more to do with it. Now they're just crying, when will I be connected to Krishna? So what does all of this have to do with Kurukshetra? It has lots to do with Kurukshetra. Because 50 years before Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita there, Krishna came there on the occasion of a solar eclipse. And on that occasion, Krishna came because he wanted to again meet the Brajabasis whom he had promised, I will return to Vrindavan. But Krishna didn't return to Vrindavan, at least up until that time. And therefore he invited them to come to Kurukshetra, and Krishna arrived in Kurukshetra himself, but this time not as the cowherd boy Krishna, but as Krishna who was Dwarkadish. So Krishna came on a chariot with his royal opulence and his retinue. And there on the occasion of the solar eclipse, Krishna and the Brajabasis, Krishna and the Gopis, Krishna and Srimati Radharani came face to face again. But this meeting was incredibly agonizing because there was an incredible separation that was being felt within that meeting. Because Srimati Radharani hadn't seen Krishna for so long, and now she was seeing Krishna again. Sambhoga, meeting Krishna. What could be more fulfilling to the heart? So in one sense there was a meeting, but in another sense there was great separation because Srimati Radharani was right in front of Krishna, but she wasn't satisfied. Because she couldn't relate to Krishna, who was in this role as a king. She couldn't relate to the reverence. She couldn't relate to the formality. She couldn't relate to the aesthetics of the surrounding. And therefore, she was so close to Krishna, and yet so far. And that was agonizing. And therefore it said that Srimati Radharani's ecstasy of separation from Krishna reached phenomenal heights at Kurukshetra. Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur made some shocking statements sometimes. And in one statement he says, He says, Kurukshetra is the best place for bhajan. Only bogus, hollow people favor Vrindavan. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would sometimes make statements which were, on one occasion he said, the neophyte ringing bells in the temple is millions of times more beneficial than that person who establishes hundreds of hospitals. Wow. He would make all these statements. One time he said, most people are interested in Radharani because of her connection with Krishna. But we're only interested in Krishna because of his connection with Radharani. No one had heard it that side around. One time he said, Hiranyakashipu proclaimed the glories of Nishingadev even more than Prahlad. Of course, his explanation was that it was Hiranyakashipu's aggression, his animosity, his complete, attack that caused the bhav of Nishingadev to fully manifest. And in that sense, it was him that brought out the glory of Nishingadev. Okay, makes sense. So here, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur makes an incredible statement. He says, Kurukshetra is the best place for bhajan. And why does he say this? When His Holiness Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he said, I heard Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur say, he said, I nearly fainted. I couldn't understand. What does he mean by this? And then he said, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur went on to quote Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, I would like to spend the last days of my life in Kurukshetra. I shall construct a cottage near Brahmakund and pass the rest of my days there. Kurukshetra is the real place of bhajan. Basically, the idea is that Srimati Radharani is feeling her deepest separation in Kurukshetra. And service to anyone at their greatest time of need awakens their greatest mercy upon you. And therefore, he said, I will stay at Kurukshetra and serve Srimati Radharani, who is experiencing this deep separation, and thereby gain the mercy of Sri Radha. Of course, this is very, very elevated, but still the teaching for us is very, very clear. That Kurukshetra represents viraha, or separation. Rupa Goswami says there are 4 different types of separation. One is called purvarag, another one is called prema vaichitya, another one is called man, and another one is called pravas. Pravas means separation when the lover and beloved are separated by time and distance. Man means a separation that occurs when there is a transcendental sulkiness between them, whereby they are together, but still they are apart because of that transcendental pride. Prema Vaichitya is a type of separation where they are together, but the thought that in the future they will be separated creates a separation even when the meeting is there. And Purva Rag is a type of separation where one is anticipating the meeting with their beloved but hasn't yet met them, but is feeling great separation in anticipation. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says that out of these 4 types of separation, we can only develop one type of separation. He says we can only develop Purva Rag, the separation in anticipation of meeting Krishna. And therefore he says the sadhaka, while doing their spiritual practices, should engender this deep desperation, this deep desire, this deep longing, this cry of the soul to want to be with Krishna. And he says, the way in which we can develop that Purva Rag is by hearing Hari Katha. And he says by constantly hearing about Krishna, then one will develop that deep desire and that anticipation that one day I will be with Krishna. And with that deep desire and anticipation, if one performs their spiritual practices, then those spiritual practices become very, very fruitful and take one to the goal that is within their heart. So in this way, Kurukshetra also reminds us of the deep longing and desperation that one has to engender. This is the only thing that will conquer Krishna, if one learns the art of how to cry for Krishna. Just like when a husband and wife are having an argument, the wife can do one thing which just ends everything. Crying. That ends the whole conversation. So when you cry for Krishna, then Krishna is forced to come. But those tears have to carry a certain sincerity. Those tears have to carry a deep longing, a deep desperation. Those tears shouldn't be the tears of material frustration. Because sometimes we may cry in a kirtan, we may cry before Krishna, but maybe those tears are also carrying many material emotions. But eventually, those tears should only carry the spiritual emotions of the desire to want to see Krishna in his most intimate feature. And in that way, one can reach Vrindavan. So, yes, I guess there are many other things. I'm just looking at time now. I think I should stop here. Let me just kind of wrap it up here. There could be more to be said. So basically today we just talked about how Vrindavan is our cherished aspiration. And on our way to Vrindavan, we realize that there are certain transformations of the heart which need to take place to qualify us to enter that realm. The first thing is Kurukshetra represents the battlefield of life. You have to become strong, confident, focused. We have to give up our weakness of heart and constantly battle the degradation that takes place. In order to do that, Kurukshetra also is a Dharma Kshetra. We have to be situated in Dharma, in the right habitat, in the right Varnashram position. We have to embrace all the different support structures given and then awaken the higher Dharma, which is love. But that love has to reach a certain type of intensity in order to reach Vrindavan. And that intensity is displayed to us by the third dimension of Kurukshetra, which is that it's a Viraha Kshetra. It's a place of separation. So one can purify their heart and develop love, but only when that love matures to an intense amount of longing and desperation will that love then qualify one to enter into Vrindavan. And therefore, we may, next time, try it. Stop at Kurukshetra, maybe for a day. It's not so far from Vrindavan. And remember these points, and perhaps if we instill this, then it could nourish our bhakti. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So I'm looking at the time, and I guess we don't have time for questions, do we?
The Pujari will soon ring the conch shell, and we'll have party. But until that time, if there's questions.
Okay, sure.
So this is slightly unrelated to your topic, but you mentioned in like the spiritual warrior section that in Sangha there's lots of impurities there that you have to fight. But how, if you're a part of that Sangha, then you may also be like involved in that, but you may unknowingly be involved in that impurity. Maybe by trying to fight it, you may cause more disunity or those kinds of things that you mentioned. So how do you approach in that Sangha of devotees to fight the impurity?
Yes. So when I say become a spiritual warrior in the Sangha, it's not that we should come out as the reformer who's going to... First and foremost, our greatest contribution to the Sangha is our own consciousness. We should understand that just by our own purity of practice, just by our own sincerity, just by our own Vaishnava qualities, that is benefiting the whole Sangha. And in our movement, we saw that in so many places. There were just very, very sincere individuals who perhaps didn't have position, didn't have power, didn't even necessarily have influence, but because of their incredible purity, they were able to bring everyone together. It's interesting that Krishna swallowed the forest fire, and one Acharya says, why did he swallow the fire? Because the fire represents intercommunal discord, and the mouth represents the brahmanas. And the deeper teaching behind Krishna swallowing the forest fire is that only when there are deep spiritual people, Brahminical quality in the Sangha, can you extinguish the intercommunal discord that will ultimately take place. And therefore, yes, so couldn't say more. We're moving on. Thank you so much. Apologies for I missed time there. I would have liked to have more.
You'll just have to come back. His Holiness Keshav Swami Maharaj ki Jai. For Shisharada Roy or Gaurachandra. So everybody can stand and we can just move these red cushions to the side. So everyone please come forward so we can dance and sing and kirtan together. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna Divine Grace Lady Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Swan Sanstapakacharya Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Sodasati Shri Srimad Divine Grace Shri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Namsako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Jai. Rajbhumi Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham ki Jai. Ganga Mai ki Jamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi ki Shrimati Tulsi Maharani ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Hari Naam Sankirtan ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Glories to the Sambhuddha Goswamis, glories to the Sambhuddha Goswamis, oh glories to the Sambhuddha Goswamis, glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru Gauranga. Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya La 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 Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Hey, thank you all again so much for being here. We have this program every single week on Sundays at the same time. Please come back. Please bring your friends and your family members. It's a beautiful program. And next weekend we actually have 2 days with Krishna Kshetra Swami. He's going to be doing a one-day retreat here at Bhakti Center, an all-day retreat on the 14th. And it's completely free by donation program. You do just have to register on our website so we know how many people to cook prasadam for and to set up for. So there is still space, so please register for that if you would like to come. It's going to be all about Lord Chaitanya. Whole day about Lord Chaitanya. And Maharaj, if you don't know, is really gone very, very deeply into Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. And then he'll also be giving the Bhagavat Sravana program, the Sunday program on Sunday. So please come for that. And also, if you would like to buy Keshav Swami's books, they're up here, and you can see, sorry, your name again. We had a whole conversation about Naramuni. Naramuni Das is going to have these books, Gita 3 and Tattva. So if you would like to get these, please go visit him over there. And we also have a lot of festivals coming up. It's starting to be festival season. We have Diwali coming up, and that is Diwali and Govardhan Puja and Gaurachandra Installation Festival. Gaurachandra Installation Festival will be on Saturday, October 28th, in the afternoon, evening time. Stay tuned for more details on that. It will be a very, very special program. And also we have on November 12th, Diwali, our Diwali program from 5 to 9, and Govardhan Puja on November 13th, which is the next day. So please come back, please stay. We have prasadam, beautiful prasadam feast served for you all in the back. Please stay and continue Krishna Katha with each other. And if you have any questions about anything, you can come see me. And if you want to get updates from us about what's happening here at Bhakti Center, you can join our temple newsletter by going to our website and scrolling down to the bottom. And if you would like to be on our, join our temple newsletter. And if you would like to be on our WhatsApp group, you can also see me and I can add you to that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.